So we just finished day 1 of writing, and we're going to do a recap. We're going to talk a little bit about how much we got done, how we feel about it. We're going to talk a lot about our feelings and what we did today. So you want to open with the tough stuff and talk about our feelings, or you want to talk about some other bullshit?
Yeah, let's talk about our feelings. Let's get that out of the way first.
How do you feel about it?
Yeah, actually, I feel really good. It's always hard to get myself to get in front of the keyboard, but as soon as I start typing, it feels really good, and then I can't get away from it. I won't bury the lead. I think I got probably 2,500 words done today, and I ducked out a little bit I had to do some other stuff for making plans for another trip that Mindy and I are going on. So I probably got like 4 hours of really hard writing done. Yeah, I feel super good about it.
Nice. 2,500 words.
Yeah.
I did 2,600. No, I'm just kidding. Not even close to that. I think I only got about 800 or so, like new words, but I edited a lot. So it was a lot of editing, so not so much higher word count, but I felt pretty good about what I was doing. And, we went on a walk after we got like our first burst of work done. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. You write something and you're like, is this good or not? I don't even understand what I'm doing anymore. Like you get too close to it and all that. But as I reread some of the things that I wrote before, I was like, this does make sense. This is okay. So I only got like 800 new words, but my total across everything is like 9,600 words. So that's not bad.
Yeah, you're still ahead of me. I'm going for quantity, you're going for quality, which is more important.
So the thing is, a 100-page book is about 25,000 words. We have thrown around the 100-page size. Is that the right word? Length is right. So 100-page length. Do you have any other thoughts on the length or anything like that?
Yeah, that's a great point. I've read a lot about writing, and one of them, probably the best piece of advice, is write exactly how many words you need and then write no more. And I heard a similar thing like that, like write your thing and then cut out like half of it or something like that. And I think there's a lot of value to that, because your first draft is just going to be a lot of thoughts and it might not be totally coherent. So your job is to trim the fat off that. So I don't really like assigning a word count to it. It should be exactly as long as it needs to be, but no longer. We should be economical with our words. I think we should err on the side of being shorter.
I think so too. And I think my hunch is when we write everything and we edit back and forth, we may end up with 150 to 200 pages and we'll need to edit it down. And I think probably around 100 pages is probably going to be good, because I think a lot of it will be shitty. So we'll take that part out, those parts out, and then we'll end up with 100 good pages.
Doug, I have an idea for you, and I just came up with this now, and it's a good one. So this is a book on how to do lists, so it should be pretty short. But what if we just went to the Cliff Note version, and that's all we ever publish? Like, we don't even have the long version. We just have the Cliff Note thing, and then people will be like, where's the actual book? And then we'll just go silent.
It's worth a shot. It's worth a shot. Now, we did pretty good, like taking breaks, and we did a chunk of work, probably, hour and a half or so. We haven't been strict on taking breaks, but I think we both get a little antsy. We went on a walk this morning for, I don't know, maybe like 45 minutes or something like that. Came back, did some more work, had lunch. And then I went off and walked about 5 miles, like up the hill, like kind of into the mountains. There's a ton of like gravel road and path. So people were driving ATVs through there. They're big ATVs. So they're like the size of a small car, basically. It was pretty fun. Pretty fun to get out there. What'd you do on your walk?
Yeah, it was much shorter than yours. I just went to Safeway and bought beer and potatoes for tonight, and that was pretty much it. I was thinking, Do you know the scene from Dumb and Dumber where they're running out of money? It's early in the film, and Jim Carrey's character has to go to the convenience store to buy only the essentials. And he comes back with a bunch of shit, like the big hat and like the windmills and all that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I felt like as I came back with beer and like tape, so I can take this garbage bag over my window to block the sun. And nothing of real value, but I'm sure it'll be great. It'll enhance our weekend, whatever I bought.
Yeah, the beer's good. We're drinking. Do you remember what this is? It's a East Coast something from, where is it?
New Image.
Okay. It's pretty good. What do you think of it?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good as well. I like it. I like it a lot. Or Dumb and Dumber. And one of the mountains, too. Like, this is a lot of Dumb and Dumber took place up here. And our book, too. Like, I don't know. Could be a sequel to Dumb and Dumber. I guess they already did that.
Yeah. It'll be like, what do you call the third one in the trilogy?
Dumber and Dumber.
Did you see the second one?
I couldn't bring myself to watch it because I knew it wouldn't. It would have stood up to the first one. It would be nearly as good, and I would be disappointed, and it would taint my memory of the first one. Did you?
I did. It was out for a couple years by the time I saw it, but it wasn't as good. But it did have some pretty funny, very silly things in there.
And just to be clear, like they did a sequel, but it was without Jim Carrey. Jeff Daniels, is that the other guy?
Correct. Yeah.
And then they did one with them, right? Like 20 years
Yeah.
later. So you're talking about that one with the original people.
Correct. Yeah, the original folks. Yeah. So I mean, those guys are very talented, and I laughed some. Okay, so let's talk about some other shit we did today. You like to have music going when you're writing, and I'm fine. I'm indifferent. I like to have music on too. We listened to Taylor Swift, of course, just like we talked about. So how do you feel about Taylor after listening more?
So, Doug, I was kind of surprised. That was 1989 we listened to, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I knew about half the songs from that. And I know when we talked this morning, I told you I was not enthusiastic about having to possibly go to the show this Friday. And I'm still unenthusiastic about it. But I'm a little bit more enthusiastic than I was because I like some of those songs. They're good. Like, does she write her own stuff? Does anyone know? Or
I think so. I mean, like a lot of musicians, she has like collaborators, I suppose. But I think she does write a lot of her own stuff.
Okay. And just to be clear, to follow up from our conversation this morning, Doug, you said you would go, if I bought you a ticket and Elizabeth, your wife, a ticket. Is that correct? Do I have to buy Georgie the dog a ticket as well?
No, the people would freak her out, and she's not as big of a fan. What day's the concert? Saturday?
It is Friday.
Should be okay. We'd have to show up late. We have a dance lesson on Friday afternoon, but we can come after that.
Okay.
So go ahead and get those tickets.
Yeah, the bad news is there's still like $1,400 for obstructed view, so you're back at the stage sitting behind a post, and I don't think that's worth it. Like, I'm good with spending money after being on Remeet and all that, but I'm not going to spend money on. I at least have to see her, right? I'm not going to look at a post. I can have that same experience from the parking lot.
Can't you? I mean, they have big screens everywhere. Where's the concert at?
That wherever they play football in Denver, right? Mile High 5 Stadium, right?
Yeah. We sponsored the stadium. Yeah, there'll be big screens. Like you'll be able to see just fine.
Yeah.
Like should be too small anyway, right? The whole stage will be small.
Yeah, maybe.
What about non-obstructed view? What do those cost?
Yeah, usually if you're way in back, I think they were still like $2,500 for like the nosebleed seats, like way the hell on top.
Okay. Still though, you'll be there. You'll be part of something bigger than yourself.
I guess.
So we listened to Taylor Swift. You're a Swiftie, you admitted it. And the songs aren't bad. I think when we were talking earlier, J.D. Roth mentioned that 1989 was his favorite album. And I did, when we talked to Brad Barrett, he said there's a particular song that was his favorite,
yes,
which I downloaded. And it's like the 10-minute long version. Do you know the name of it?
Oh, I told my kid about it and we listened to it, but I don't remember the name.
It is pretty good. Let me look up the name here. We also listened to other stuff that were this more like in our wheelhouse. So one of them was a Slash album that he did with Miles Kennedy and the band called Four. I think it was her fourth album together. And that's pretty good. Have you heard that one?
I have not, but I recognize the Miles Kennedy voice when you put it on.
And, Slash is, I'm like, that's what his guitar playing sounds like. So you're like, that's Slash for sure. All Too Well, the 10-minute version.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the Taylor Swift song, All Too Well. Yeah, it's pretty good. We'll listen to it tomorrow on loop. Nice. We'll just listen to it for 90 minutes straight for our first set of writing. We also listened to some Led Zeppelin, number 1.
Yeah.
You a big fan of that one, or what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I do like Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin set the stage for a lot of other music that we appreciate. Jimmy Page is great. Robert Plant has a great voice. Yeah.
The whole band, yeah. Did you, at one point I had like the full box set back in the CD days. So I was like really obsessed. Did you really get into Zeppelin?
I remember that box set. It had the picture of like the shadow of the Zeppelin like on the crop circles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
I did not get into them as much as you did, but I still appreciate their music. And like when it comes on, I don't change the station.
And I haven't listened to, Led Zeppelin number 1 super long time. And I was like, this is fucking awesome. Like it was really, really good. Which is obvious to say, but it's just been a while. And I was like, I got burned out a little bit because I listened to like that over and over again. And, at some point you're like, I need some variety. We did listen to GNR, Guns N' Roses. Now that's your favorite band, right? Yeah,
I think so. We listened to Appetite for Destruction, which is great. That's probably my favorite album of all time. It's, and I think it still holds up. I listen to it to this day. My favorite song of all time is probably the last track called Rocket Queen on that album. Are you familiar with that song? Or?
Not super familiar, funny enough. Like we were talking, well, actually you were like, you don't have to keep playing Guns N' Roses because we listened to Use Your Illusion 1. And I was like, I really like him. I just haven't listened to him in a while, but I don't remember that song all that well. I need to go back. Let's listen to it again.
Yeah, it's pretty famous because, this is a PG-rated video here, but Axl Rose is having relations with the drummer's girlfriend on the soundboard at the studio, and they recorded it and put it in the middle of the song.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she's famous. You can look her up. She talks about it. But it's a beautiful song, and I think that whole episode is what made the song famous, but it takes away from it too. It's similar to Patience. You know the song Patience, right?
Right, yeah.
And that it starts out as one thing, and then kind of 2/3 in it pivots and becomes something else. And Rocket Queen is the exact same way. It's this filthy, dirty song, and then it pivots to like this great ballad. So yeah, love that song.
Yeah, we'll have to go back. Yeah, I need to go back to some of the classics that we know were so good. So those were the main. We listened to some other shit. It was fine. It was like whatever alternative rock from the 90s or something like that. I went for a walk and I walked into a store up the street. Now Melanzana is here in town, and for the longtime fans, I have a couple of Melanzana hoodies. You have to make an appointment, and they are booked for 6 months out. So we're in the middle of July right now. The first appointment that you can get is in December. And they have like hundreds of hoodies sitting. You could see them right there, but they only sell a certain number per day, basically. Now, I walked into just a regular old gift shop looking at tchotchkes and little knickknacks and bullshit. Other stuff, right? And then I see, these are what look to be Melanzana knockoffs. The same material, the little grid texture. They look like high quality stuff. It's called Sky Goat. And it's actually still made here in Summit County, the high country in the mountains here in Colorado. But you don't have to make an appointment. They had them right there. You could buy it. And I bought one. I got a zippered one, which is a little bit different. And I was like, no, I have a zippered one. I'll support this local business as well. And I was excited. I told Carl, I actually offered to trade a true Melanzana because I don't want people to make fun of Carl. You know, if he's wearing this other bullshit Sky Goat thing. No, Sky Goat seems fine. I'm just telling it like it is. You know, people are like, oh, you got a Melanzana. Great, you got a Melly. And you're like, oh, it's just a Sky Goat. And people are like, what's Sky Goat? It seems fine. It's pretty good. So anyway, we walked up there and Carl, you checked them out. What do you think?
Yeah, I did, and I actually bought one. Half the reason was because I forgot all my warm weather clothes, and I wanted it to be warm. But yeah, it seems like it's soft, it has a zipper, and it fit well. But it costs about the same as like the Melanzana stuff is about $100, right? So,
it might be a touch cheaper, but yeah, roughly right around there.
Yeah. The main thing that was going through my head when I bought this thing is so the Sky Goat, they're taking advantage, they're riding the coattails of Melanzana, but could we, like we've talked about various products for the Mile High Fly podcast, maybe we could have like a fluorescent green like mesh tank top / Speedo store. They'll be custom, just like they do back, like if you go into this Melanzana store, it's pretty neat because you see all the people right there making it. And that's great because they're employing local folks. They're not made with, what's that? Like fast fashion where it's just a bunch of disposable crap that ends in the landfill. Like they're making high quality stuff, giving local people money, which is great. Maybe we could do the same thing, and I think our model might even work out better. Like Speedos is very small amount of material. We can do Speedos for the men, like thongs for the ladies, like thong bathing suits, and then our mesh tank top, which would probably be hardly any material at all. We just have to figure out where to source it from.
Yeah. I wonder, can you crochet that kind of thing? Like you have a crocheter in the family, right? Or is it knitting?
Yeah, we have a crocheter right here. This, my younger daughter gave me this ominous black cloth. It's got a smiling, I think, though. So I don't know if she wants to kill me or what the message is, but maybe all our stuff could be crocheted.
And I think, that would, it could be mesh, right? You do like a really loose weave. And this is actually a really soft material. You know, some yarn is kind of itchy, but I would love to have this rubbing across my nipples. You know? Wouldn't you?
So the tank tops, we could have a loose weave. For the Speedos, though, that might lead to people getting arrested at public pools and stuff like that. We'll have to get the weave a little bit tighter for those products. But yeah, we can work on it. Yeah.
We'll do some prototypes, you know. That'll be a fun process. All right, so we got these Sky Goat hoodies, and they look pretty nice. We'll put a link. We're not associated with the company and all, but I may try to reach out to them. And we'll get back on track, talk about the book in a second. But from a marketing perspective, right, Melanzana limits the supply in a very huge way. There's a much bigger demand, and it makes sense to me that another company popped up, and they're like, we can make high quality shit too. And it's great because like there's way more demand than Melanzana can handle. And in fact, I don't want to have a garment manufacturing company or whatever, but like if someone knew how to source materials and like get high quality shit and really stand behind the product, I bet they could sell a whole lot of them because these are so hard to get. It's insane.
Yeah, it's a pretty ridiculous model because we're up here in this obscure mountain town. It's kind of touristy, but it's nowhere near like a Vail or Breckenridge. So people make appointments and they come to Leadville. What are we, 10,200 feet?
Yeah.
Just to buy stuff at the Melanzana store. So they've got it going on. But the other business opportunity I see here, Doug, and I haven't seen any of these, but have you seen a tattoo place up here? Yeah, I haven't seen that either. And usually you go to resort towns, even Longmont, you've got like 3 or 4 of them right there on Main Street, and there's not one here. So we could just buy that tattoo kit from Amazon for like $39. It went up. It was $29.99. I was looking at it the other day. The home tattoo kit is $39.99. And we could do really shitty tattoos. Like, you know how you look at the like window of a tattoo place and they've got like leopards and dragons and all this shit. We'll have like stick figures and like primitively drawn hearts that say like mom and some of the words are being misspelled. But it'll be cheap because we're saving on the equipment and we pass the savings on to our customers.
That sounds like a great idea. I don't see one issue with that plan. Can we get Prime deliver it tomorrow? Like we could potentially open up shop. It's like it'll be a donation model, so like we won't have any liability. They'll sign a waiver, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and we could just order like 8 of them. Like you and I could be artists, and then we could just grab some people off the street to create art as well. Yeah, community endeavor. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, are you a pretty good artist or?
No, I'm horrible.
I mean, as long as the expectations meet, or the results meet the expectations, people will be okay with that.
Yeah.
Probably.
It could be a thing like shittytattoo.com. That URL's probably already taken, but we should check that before this recording goes live.
Yeah, that's the least of our worries. All right, cool. So back on track just a little bit. So tomorrow we're going to record again in the morning, just like we did today. And we got word back from MK Williams. So she actually gave us some tips. I sent her an email the other day asking about timeline, project plan, and I'm a good coordinator. I mean, my fucking job before was a project manager, so this is what I do. And I think like it has served us well in the projects that we've worked on before. So I'm doing that now, driving us to a specific direction, making sure we're running in the same direction, blah, 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 right? So we are going to talk about that in the next video. One thing that I ran across in some of my research and things that maybe we should include in the book is on procrastination. And we probably need to review the outline a little bit, but like, do we have a section or do you have thoughts on procrastination?
I know that I don't think we cover it in the outline, but I'm kind of curious. I know Tim Urban gave a TED Talk on it. I think I watched, but it was a long time ago. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe I procrastinated it, and then I procrastinated long enough where I just gave up on it. Have you seen that one? Or?
No.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't know what the gist of it is, so we should maybe watch that. But yeah, it fits with what we're writing about, I think, maybe.
So I ran across it a couple times, right? So when you hear about lazy people, when you do some research, right? Hear about lazy people, oftentimes it's just that they are waiting to do the work and they're doing other stuff that seems like a waste of time, right? We're here to write the book, but we are walking around, we're buying hoodies that we don't need, right? But we are processing others. We have problems that we're trying to solve in our brain, and we're processing it while we're doing other stuff, especially when we're not actively thinking about it and we're just walking. Like when you were walking today, did you listen to anything or?
Yes.
What did you listen to?
I listened to a Tesla podcast and then music.
Okay. So the Tesla podcast, not related to what we're talking about. Hopefully in the background, your brain was thinking great thoughts about the book that we're trying to write. I didn't listen to anything because I just wanted to like hear if a bear was going to attack me because I was kind of in the woods a little bit. But also I just wanted to hear the wind and not be distracted by a podcast or anything else. I didn't even listen to music. I was like, not going to put it. I called my dad, talked to him for a few minutes. But the point being, there's a lot of studies on procrastination and creativity. And I feel like it can fit in the book, but we haven't put it in there yet. So that's something, we should think about. I'm not exactly sure where it fits in. I think it might be in one of the sections that you're writing versus where I am writing. I'm not sure. But any other thoughts, we don't have to like hash it out now, but procrastination, I think fits in with, quote, laziness and what we're trying to do. And the creativity portion is really interesting. Like it's scientifically proven, like people have more creative ideas when they fuck around a little bit, do something else.
Yeah, I think that's a great thought. And to reiterate this, I don't want people to think this is a book about how to sit on their couch, eat Cheetos, and watch reruns of TV shows. We're trying to tell you how to build a better life through all this. And if Tim Urban who I admire a lot, is a procrastinator and gave a whole TED talk on it. Well, I have no idea what he talked about because either I don't remember it or I never watched it in the first place. I think it would be a valuable thing to cover. Do you think he'd write a chapter for us?
Maybe. We could
Yep.
we could ask ChatGPT to write in the style of Tim Urban with a couple of prompts. Yeah.
I'm going back to Dumb and Dumber with, is there a chance? Like 1 in 100, no, 1 in 1,000, no.
1 in a million.
1 in a million. Yeah, 1 in a million. Yes, I have a chance. I think with Tim, it's probably a little bit less than that, but it's okay.
We might be able to interview him. Yeah, he wrote a book, right?
He did, and I actually talked to some of his people because I used one of his graphics for my economy talk, and so I did not talk to him, but I talked to one of those people who gave me permission to use the graphics. So maybe we have it in. Sarah, if you're still working for Tim, send us an email.
You really think Sarah's watching this?
No, I don't think. There's probably a 1.5 trillion chance that that's happening.
Some kind of accident. All right. Anything else on your mind about the day?
Yeah, I will say that I'm enthusiastic about it. The more I work, the easier it becomes. Like, I think I'm trying to think of a comparable project to it where you're doing all I guess it's kind of like some of my building projects where you're doing all the hard stuff up front and then you eventually work your way to like if you're remodeling a bathroom, you're doing all the plumbing and electric and all the stuff that's in the walls that no one will see. And I think that work is a little bit less gratifying. And then eventually you get to where you're installing the vanities and setting the tile, the stuff you can see, and that's a little bit more gratifying. And I think, at least for me, that's how the writing goes, because you come up with an outline and then you're trying to insert your thoughts in there. And then at the end is where, at least for me, all the fun stuff happens, where you finally get to the final product. But you had to put in all that hard work to get to that point. How is it for you, Doug? Is it the same, or does it become easier or more gratifying for you, fun for you, or not?
It's hard for me to answer since I'm ahead of you by a lot in the word count, and that's really all that matters. It's been a few weeks since I had a big productive day or two. And I feel good after I reread a few things, but I'm a little detached from it. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm a little detached. So is it more gratifying as we go along? A little bit. But did you read don't answer too much, but did you read the email from MK today?
Yes.
So after I read that, I was like, oh shit, right? So we'll talk about that tomorrow. But I was like, okay, yeah, marathon, right? It's a lot of stuff to work on. So in a general sense, I'm like, yeah, it's good. Like, we have great output and it's clear we're getting work done. Coming here and getting away from our normal grind is awesome. Like, all the normal distractions completely gone, right? Like, do you feel that?
Absolutely.
It's insane, right? Completely different environment. And we're able to actually focus even when we're taking many breaks and making sure that we're going to be able to be productive for the days that we're here. So I didn't answer your question at all, but if I think about it, I don't necessarily feel it as more gratifying. I'm just like, all right, I'm doing some work. We're getting good output, and this will be an iterative process. So what episode came out on our show today?
Was it the Stoicism episode?
Yeah, Doug the Stoic.
Yeah.
So I guess that sounds like a Stoic, right?
Yeah.
I'm doing the work. I'll let you know afterwards. Maybe I'll feel good. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Did I steal that's a conversation killer, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I have more thoughts on the MK thing, but I'll save them for tomorrow. But I have to say that I'll leave it at I am optimistic about the whole thing. I don't think she had some timelines in there, and I think we could do better than what she suggested.
I think so too. So I am optimistic, and I think we're doing a couple things in parallel. And I think this is what everyone says. I feel the trap that we're going down. I'm like, we're different. We're special. There's two of us. And we're going to be able to overcome some of the hurdles. We are doing some shit in parallel. And the fact that there are two of us, I think we can accelerate the timeline a little bit. I was thinking, little spoiler, around a year is what she said, but I'm thinking we should be able to do it in half the time. My initial thought was less than that even, but I think 6 months we could get something done. Is that kind of your feeling? Like that's how good we are? Twice as good as a normal person?
I wasn't going to say that that's how good we are, but I agree with the timelines. If I didn't have other things going on in my life, I think it could actually be a lot quicker. And the reason I think that is because everything we're writing about is stuff I've been thinking about for the past 10 years of my life. So we're not doing a lot of research or covering a whole ton of new ground, or at least I'm not. It's just putting all my thoughts into words.
Cool. What's the other stuff? Is it like family stuff? Like just postpone it. Who cares, right?
Yeah. Hey, kids, you can walk your asses to school at grocery store. I don't know. The King Supers is 1.8 miles away. You can walk there, take your bike there too.
Yeah, you mean they don't ride their bikes everywhere?
Sometimes they do, but my kids have an addiction to Target, and they always want to go there. I think they must pump something into the air at their store. I hate Target.
It's Taylor Swift in the air. That's what you're hearing.
I think Taylor Swift has an agreement with Target or something like that. Taylor Swift, Target, I think there's some tie-in, and they probably pump Taylor Swift music through the speakers there, and there must be some kind of like drug. Yeah, kids are addicted to that. I guess you could think of worse addictions than Target. But,
yeah. Well, this episode's brought to you by Taylor Swift, obviously. All right, anything else on your mind before we break and get some food here?
No, I think that's it. We'll talk again tomorrow.